How's it going? I'm Donny. I'm your rational conservative voice. No, I'm the dirty liberal.
Hi, I'm the liberal guy. You're very calm, cool, progressive socialist Bernie Sanders supporter. That was actually funny. You didn't plan that, did you? I didn't think so. All right, should we start again? Go ahead.
All right. Well, so yeah, we're the Greg and Donny News Show. I'm your liberal voice.
And I'm your conservative voice.
All right.
And so we have a lot to say. We discuss the issues and we don't hold anything back. We just we let it go. We just had a great discussion here at the gazebo in Milton.
So you might have heard there was a bit of an election recently. Kind of flew under the radar. But
it was all over the place. What are you talking about? I was up Tuesday night. So there's a Florida primary was the big one. And we should tell because we have folks watching all over the country.
Yeah.
Okay. So I know you're all having primaries. In fact, if you have comments on your primary, please send them to our YouTube channel. And we're going to post this on our the Greg and Donny News Show Facebook page too, so you'll be able to let us know all the things that are happening there. But the big one for us, of course, being in Florida, being in the Panhandle, was the Florida primary, which you had a lot to.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I was. Let's see, I've been involved with trying to elect Phil Eyre, which of course fell through, Andrew Gillum, which thankfully was successful, and Bill Nelson, who I'm hoping will end up winning. So yeah, Tuesday night I was at Phil Eyre's primary party. I really did think he was going to win.
Are you a groupie?
Oh yeah.
You went to a political party?
I'm his biggest fan.
Okay. Wow.
In fact, I actually have a bunch of his campaign stuff in my car at the moment because I thought I'd need it for future canvassing.
Okay.
So if anyone wants any Phil Eyre campaign memorabilia, let me know.
I know it's a cheap shot, but he never wanted to say to Eyre is human or to Eyre is for Congress or any of those other Eyre possible jokes we could have made. He never did. No. Didn't even consider that. Too bad.
Well, he called his band or his supporters the Air Force.
That's actually good.
Yeah. I called us airheads.
That's even better.
Yeah.
Now, Eyre is spelled E-H-R, just so if you're a little confused by that, that's how that works out. Anyway, so Phil Eyre.
So he unfortunately ended up losing, and the entire party was almost a funeral-like environment, except for Phil. If it bothered him that he lost, he really didn't show it. He was instantly rallying the troops around the nominee, instantly called her to concede. I actually just talked to him yesterday, and he encouraged me to go and volunteer for our nominee, Dr. Zimmerman. So,
what's he do in real life? What's his occupation?
He's retired military.
Okay. So he's got time. Okay.
So
is he going to write a book? Is he going to do some studying? Does he have like a volunteer project or a foundation he's involved with?
Staying in politics.
Okay.
He's a great man, helping his former opponent get elected.
Okay. How old is he?
He's in his 50s, I believe.
I was my age.
Yeah, around yours.
Young guy. Hey, listen, I started a new career last year. It's never too late to do something different. Yeah, interesting. Okay.
I think he has a future in politics. It just didn't work out this time.
Well, what I found interesting about Phil Eyre is a veteran, Democrat.
Right.
Chris Joseph is a veteran, Republican. And the two have nothing in common. Not only on issues, but personality-wise. They are completely different people.
But they were friends.
And that's interesting too. Probably because they're veterans. I find what's interesting, and I've done a lot of work with veterans. I'm not a veteran myself. I do regret that, but it's a long story. I'll go through the whole being raised in 3 different countries and confusion over national identity and a bunch of other stuff at another time. But it's interesting. There is a camaraderie between veterans, but there's still but there can be a rivalry too. And it's interesting how this worked out because they could have met. I wonder how that race would have gone. Phil Eyre versus Chris Joseph.
Right.
You had 2 veterans running for Congress because the veteran community was strongly behind both of them, I think. So why did Dr. Z pull out the win over Phil Eyre, especially with the strong veteran community we have here?
Well, there were a few things. She has an army of supporters, many of whom I'm friends with, some of whom are more rabid than the others.
So the non-veteran has the army, huh?
Yeah.
Did she call it that?
No.
The army of supporters? That's your term?
They call themselves Team Z, which of course I'm now part of.
The Z Force.
I like that. But I mean, they were out there. They were talking to people. Might have done a better job than we did. Of course, she's a household name in the area, being a doctor.
Well, that doesn't necessarily follow. I mean, does she advertise? Does she do a lot of promotional stuff? Does she do a lot of events? Does she do things where she got known before going into politics? And in fact, how did she even get into politics from being a doctor?
There's actually a video circulating. I'm probably going to share it later. At the meeting last night, she asked us all to put this out here. The way she got into politics was she went to one of Gates's town halls, and you might have been at this one. She was absolutely pleading with him. It might have even been the one I met you at. Pleading with him not to...
was it Navy Federal? Is that one?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Just pleading with him not to make cuts to Social Security, Medicaid, all that stuff to pay for the tax cuts. And almost everyone there cheered for her and booed Gates. And it was funny because near the end...
Because they're all on Medicare and Social Security, that's why.
Near the end...
Because everybody else is working, they don't have time to go to the event.
He tried to explain it, and this is kind of a meme amongst her supporters. He started calling the next number very clearly, got nervous, tried to deflect away from that.
I think I remember this.
Yes, and she said that changed her life, and that's why she was running.
So this is the first time she's ever run then?
Yes.
This is all new to her then?
She's new to politics.
Okay, so I had
her and Phil both had never been in politics before.
Okay.
Of course, he had been in leadership positions in the past, whereas she's just been a doctor forever.
So she's like what I call an inspirational politician. She was inspired to do it because of an event.
Yes.
She wasn't raised into it. She wasn't born into it. She doesn't come from a political family. I know these are things that people fault Matt Gaetz for because his father was in politics. I don't know if his grandfather was in politics. I don't know how far
the whole Gaetz family.
It is?
Oh, yeah.
They've been doing this. Okay, so, and that makes sense, to give you a way to get in at a younger age. He's, what, 35?
Yeah.
And he's in Congress? That's incredible. I mean, at 35, I was not going to be... I'm not well enough known. Actually, I could run now. I mean, I got time. I can wait a couple of years. We'll see what happens. You never know. But anyway, I want to correct a couple of things because there's a big misnomer about this. And the way that Washington budgets, and you talk about paying for a tax cut. First of all, you don't pay for a tax cut. You pay for a tax increase. Tax cuts are free. Now, the problem is if you fund at a consistent level, if you fund at a progressive, or if you fund at a high level already, and you have a tax cut where there are fewer dollars going in the federal treasury, there's going to be a bigger deficit if you try and fund things at the same levels before. So the whole point of a tax cut is to cut spending at the same time. This is what happened with Ronald Reagan. This is why the budget didn't work then. This is what happens with the Trump tax cuts, and they're called tax cuts. And they're great for the economy. The economy's booming. We have another 4.1% growth this quarter, which is huge, which nobody predicted, which is just unbelievable. Well, we'll do a show on economics in a bit. But the point is that this misnomer about taxes, and the other thing is Social Security cuts. Nothing is being cut. What's being reduced or slowed down is the increase, because Social Security gets more money every year. But that's not the problem. The real problem started way back in the Johnson days. Somebody rocking and rolling on the bridge there? We got a very large... Was it across the other side? Someone's got a boat. Okay, we're on the Blackwater River here at Milton under the gazebo. Someone's got a boat. We can hear their tunes from here. It's like, those like hip hop cars that go by. When the speakers are so loud, they vibrate your car too.
That's what they got.
This is like the hip hop boat, okay? And it's hysterical. What if they go alligator hunting in their spare time? What do you think? Now they're going backwards. Which is interesting because the river goes that way. We do digress. We don't have sponsors yet. We're working on that. But we don't take commercial breaks. We just do like comedy breaks. Just to keep you interested. No, now they're going forwards. Oh, there we go. Have another beer, guys. Yeah, so I don't have another beer. All right. So getting back to Social Security is always increasing. But the problem is that the Social Security Trust Fund has been raided. It was spent. And so the only way Social Security gets money is by money coming in. It comes in through Social Security or payroll taxes. That money is immediately sent out. So the idea that people are paying into Social Security and getting their money back is not true. That money's already been spent. And so the question for both Democrats and Republicans is, what are you going to do with this situation? And we want to get Dr. Zimmerman here.
Yes.
And that's one of the first things I want to ask her is but do you see what I'm talking about?
And as I said, I was at one of her meetings last night, and they were talking about finding this video, because one of the guys there once asked Gaetz because he imagined cuts would have to be made on account of the tax cuts. He said, how are we going to do that? And Gaetz told him to his face he wanted to cut Social Security and a couple other things. So that's something Z is really going to hit hard on.
Well, because I got to nail that down, whether that was... But you understand, Washington, a cut means a reduction in the increase.
Right.
Okay? See you, sir. We have this gentleman who's been kind of hanging out with us, having lunch, having a good time. You have a wonderful rest of the weekend. There we go. So people kind of join us sometimes. You never know what's going to happen here. But in fact, we were able to help. I wonder what happened to that gentleman we helped last week. That we directed to the police to get some medical help.
If you're watching, we'd definitely love to hear from you.
Yeah, the gentleman who was here, and he was because everybody has stressful times. Everybody has trouble. You know, everybody has things go wrong. I can attest to that. You know, unplanned things. You know, but oh, there's our music again. Should we take a musical interlude? So check to the river behind us. You should see this boat going by.
Pretty sure there are American flags getting wet there.
No, that's interesting. The American flag's getting wet. So
my inner Reaganite
is there somewhere. So hey, listen, you can be a patriot and still be a progressive.
Right.
I don't see how, but no, I'm just kidding. No, but you can, and that's the thing too. And that's the thing about our show is that both of us love this country. It's just a question of how we approach how to make it better. And so that's what's interesting. But let's get back to our campaign. Phil Air, we need to get him, especially he's retired. He doesn't have a job. We got to get his butt down here.
Yeah.
Let's talk to Phil.
Right now he's kind of taking a break for a bit, but I imagine he'll want to once he's done with that.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'd be curious. I mean, but he's got that luxury where he is retired military. He's got the pension, I'm sure. He's in a position. There are very few times in your life when you can do exactly what you want to.
Right.
Both of us are at this point for totally different reasons. One, I've already raised a daughter and she's in college and I'm doing what I want and having fun. And you, because you haven't started all that stuff yet.
Right.
So it's like before kids and after kids. And so there are times, and you have to take advantage of these times to do those things. So if you ever have a dream that you've always wanted to do, don't burden yourself with things that are going to not allow you to have that dream. And that could be anything. I'm not going to... Yeah, we'll save the details for later. Back to the primary. Primary I found fascinating. So we've got Phil there, we've got Dr. Z. Let's talk about a little bit more about the Republican primary. Because what's Chris Dosif going to do now? Where is he going? I mean, do you think he would come on our show after what happened?
He might. I hope he will.
Chris, send us a message.
The invitation is still there.
Always. Absolutely. Yeah. And so what was interesting, we had Justin Jouse on, I think it was 2 weeks ago? Or last? Yes. It was 2 weeks ago. Talking about an attack that Chris made. And unfortunately, Chris's campaign got negative. And the one thing I asked him, and the question I'm going to ask him again when he comes on, is where were the specifics?
Right.
Where was the program? I think that was his biggest mistake, was he had all the right stands. He was pro-Second Amendment, pro-life. He wanted to reduce federal spending. But those are platitudes. Those are generalities. The details are what count. In other words, if you say, I want to increase Social Security, well, where's the money going to come from? Are you going to tax people higher? Are you going to cut back on other things? It's the details that make this so tough. If solutions were easy, we wouldn't have any problems in Congress.
Right.
We wouldn't have to worry about that, but that's not the case. So I think what happened with that race, it was very interesting. And a lot of the criticism of Matt Gaetz, I'm curious what you think of this, being a progressive, liberal, independent type. A lot of people criticize Matt Gaetz because he doesn't have a family, he hasn't started a business, and he hasn't served in the military. And I don't see that as necessary for Congress. It's nice to have the experience. It's good to serve your country. But are those requirements to be well-rounded enough to serve in Congress?
I mean, they're not requirements, but they certainly help.
Okay.
I know that was one of my appeals for Phil. And I was really looking forward to seeing those two go up against each other, a veteran and a frat boy.
Frat boy, yeah. Oh, okay. Or a socialist whose economics could never possibly work against a well-trained lawyer who can investigate the FBI properly. I mean, now it's interesting that you notice how the way we characterize those two things.
Yes.
We should do. You know what I want to do next time? Poll questions. Okay. So we're going to do a show on poll. We're going to make up the most biased, obnoxious poll questions you could possibly imagine. And you want to do that next week? All right, so we're going to think of some. We're going to ask you the questions, and then we're going to post the poll on our Facebook page, and we'll see what kind of things you come up with. Do you want this wretched communist pinko to serve? I mean, it's going to be that bad. Okay.
Much like Bill O'Reilly, we'll do it live.
Oh, he was pretty. I like Bill O'Reilly, but I got tired of him though because he always complained about the same things, and he was arrogant.
Yeah.
Now we're probably a little arrogant too. I try not to think of it that way, but you never know. Anyway, so anything else? Do you want to cover the local election at all? You want to get into the Rob Williamson, Dave Peach thing? We have local, for those of you who are listening outside of our Milton, Santa Rosa County area. I'm sure everybody has local elections. This was one that was very interesting, and it's kind of like a case study because Rob Williamson had accusations that he wasn't dealing as cleanly smoothly as possible, that there was a lot of money coming into his campaign from either corporate or other sources and things like that. And Dave Peach, proclaimed himself to be, again, a veteran, an engineer and all kinds of things. But what I found interesting about Dave is that he had no legislative experience in his background.
Right.
And so this same thing probably I had with Christosa, is that if you don't have any legislative experience in your background, how do you run for a legislative office?
Well, you're a pretty big supporter of someone who did that. And
Go ahead.
I mean, Peach, I try not to.
Well, I didn't support Peach. I didn't support Dave Peach.
I try not to mention Phil Ayer too much, but he actually had the backing of Phil Ayer and a bunch of Democrats, bunch of Republicans. Pretty much everyone thought that this guy, despite the fact that despite the fact that politically he's as far away from many of us as you could get, many of us on my side, that is. I think a lot of people just saw that he's a good guy. He wanted to help. He'd probably do better than the guy we had. I know we both endorsed him on here.
Well, I think Rob Williamson was more interested in Rob Williams.
Yes.
To be quite honest, that was the problem. He struck me as Hollywood.
Yes.
Into the glamour of the office rather than the nuts and bolts. And Dave Peach, and you'll see this in campaigns in your areas as well, Dave Peach struck me as the nuts and bolts guy, the guy that didn't mind reading the master plan or the bill or the contract or whatever it is they were dealing with. He was one of those kind of guys. But again, I want to get Dave Peach here. In fact, we invited him. We actually had a little bit of a screw up. I tried to get him here earlier, and we just kind of miscommunicated, cross-contract, things like that. We had a bit of a problem. But I think it'd be fascinating to get him here. Anything else on the primary that you want to cover, and or should we move on to another topic
we go
in another video?
State level.
Which would be the Ron DeSantis thing?
Both the gubernatorial and senatorial.
Let's say that.
Yeah.
We're gonna hold this from right now.
All right.
So why don't you give the closing announcements, and I shall shut up our video.
All right. Well, don't monkey things up while you're shutting it down.
Oh, thanks. Trying to make a monkey out of me, huh? Is that like a preview to our next thing? All right, go ahead. So we are?
We are the Greg and Donny News Show.
And you can find us
on Facebook and YouTube. Remember to like and subscribe to our videos, and do not monkey that up.
You keep doing that. All right, obviously that's will be the topic for our next show, and we'll be right back.